Well, isn't this aggravatingly ironic? I'm trying to make an anti-stress concoction, and in doing so, I keep messing up the recipe to the point where this has become more stress than it's worth. Damn it, I think I need to use the rest of my lavender for this. I always try to keep some around since it smells so good and it always calms me. However, based on how this lesson is going so far, I think it would be wise of me to use it for the anti-stress mixture. I certainly need it now more than ever. Alright. 2 spoonfuls should be enough. If the mixture changes into a lilac color, then I'll know that I've done it right. Hey, I think it worked! Hanji is going to be so proud of me! What the hell was that? That sounded almost like a scream. But no one is out here except for us, and we live in relative peace with all of the creatures of the forest. None of them would dare to attack us, not after all we've done to protect them from humans. Maybe it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. Maybe I heard a creature roaring or cawing or making some other noise, and my brain, fried from all of this stress, just misinterpreted the sound. Yes, that's probably all that it was. Unless... Oh no. Sasha and Connie had better not be playing hide-and-go-tag again. They always manage to scare each other into unconsciousness at least once when they play that game. I cannot be in charge of resuscitating them again. There it is again. That doesn't sound like Sasha or Connie. And it certainly doesn't sound like anyone I know. But that's impossible. Alright, technically speaking, it would be improbable since hardly anything in a magical forest is impossible, but why am I trying to explain myself to myself? There's no one else around. It's not like anyone is listening, and even if they were, I think they've got bigger issues to deal with from the sound of that scream. Oh god. There it is, a third time. And it sounds so much weaker now, yet so much more desperate. Oh gods. Alright. Calm down, Armin. Follow the scream, and you should be able to find whatever creature made that sound before it's too late. Now they're crying out for help? That must mean that it's a creature with an intelligence level almost identical to ours. If it's capable of speech, it... Oh no. Please do not tell me that Ymir decided to let another human into the forest. As funny as she thinks it is a great disturbance to the rest of us. Hopefully that is not the case, and... Nope, I was absolutely right in that assumption. It's a human. How wonderful. Don't you dare move. Can you not feel the extent of your injuries? Have you no sense in that brain of yours? You are bleeding profusely from each of your wounds. If you try to run, one of two things will happen. Either whatever did this to you will come back for more and they will finish the job this time, or in all of your running, you will weaken yourself so badly that you collapse and exsanguinate. Neither of those options sound very pleasant, do they? I didn't think so. Now don't move, all right? Oh, for the love of... You humans are always the same. Stay away from me. Don't touch me. Stay back, I'm warning you. You do realize that you're in an enchanted forest, injured and all alone. If you want even a slim chance of surviving, you need my help. So don't threaten me to get me to stay away. If you want to live, you will let me come closer so I can examine your wounds. Why should you trust me? You don't seem to have a first aid kit. As I've already said, you're all alone out here. So really, what choice do you have? Oh, well, I guess you've solved my impossible riddle. Yes, you could always refuse treatment. That's certainly a choice that you have. However, I already spelled out exactly what will happen to you if you do that. So again, unless you really want to choose death today, what choice do you have? That's what I thought. Now hold still, would you? Don't flinch. I know that it's difficult not to. You're in a great deal of pain and you're scared, and due to the high amount of adrenaline coursing through your bloodstream right now in order to keep you conscious, your senses must be heightened, which is only increasing your feelings of pain and utter terror. It's normal to flinch, but I really need you to try not to, okay? Unless you want to make this worse for yourself or make my job more difficult, you really need to do your best to stay still. Don't apologize for flinching. That isn't entirely under your control right now, is it? In fact, I ought to be the one apologizing. I've been under a lot of stress recently, and I forget how terrifying all of this is for humans. We don't see many of your kind here, so when we do, it's always shocking and honestly a little frustrating, and I'm not always the most patient person in situations like this. Situations in which someone is completely unable to think rationally. You see, creatures like me, we don't often get injured, but when we do, our brains are a lot different than human brains, in the sense that no matter what happens to us, we can always think with logic and reason, and we can control ourselves and our emotions a little bit better. In fact, a great deal of human literature depicts us as stoic and graceful because of this. However, that makes it especially difficult when we have to assist humans in leaving this forest. We don't always react the way that we should because, well, we don't really know how to interact with anyone but our own species. No, you aren't the first human I've ever met. However, you're the first one I've needed to save. You're the first one I've met who was injured and alone and scared out of his mind. I'm sorry that I didn't handle the situation better. I really am. I'm actually studying to be a healer, and I really ought to work on my human interaction skills in case something like this ever happens again, which I do hope it doesn't, for everyone's sake, but if there's one thing I know about the future, it's that it's always uncertain. Best to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Oh, really? You liked my stern approach. As fascinating as it is to watch a human tell a lie, you really don't have to on my account. You should save your strength for telling the truth, and for getting out of here. Oh, I beg your pardon, but was it not obvious that you'd be leaving? You were attacked and wounded very severely. You don't belong here. Mortals do not belong in this forest. That's why we oftentimes try to hide it. We're able to almost entirely shield ourselves from the rest of the world. However, there is one in our group who enjoys letting humans through our barriers occasionally, which wouldn't be as much of an issue if things like this didn't end up happening as a result. People like you want to be here. You dream of places like this, places full of magic and wonder and endless adventure. But the second you step through that barrier, you realize that it's more than you bargained for. You realize that it's not the sweet, happy-ending fairy tale you thought it would be. Oftentimes, those realizations come far too late. And things like this happen. Yes, I did imply that other humans have come here before, and that I've met a few of them. What happened to them? There's a reason I didn't say that they made it out. Why didn't I help them? Why didn't they listen? You humans, you like to think that you are the top of the food chain in your world. You like to think that you're the smartest creatures in the world. However, when push comes to shove, you will always, without fail, sacrifice your own safety, your own lives, purely because of greed. Greed for power, greed for wealth, greed for knowledge, greed for excitement. You always want something so badly that you're willing to sacrifice everything for it. I told them exactly what I told you. I told them that they don't belong here, and I offered to lead them back across the barrier. But they insisted that they would be fine. They insisted that they would be able to survive here. And look what happened to them. No. Unfortunately, we aren't able to force someone out of our lands once they enter. We can strongly insist that they leave, we can offer to guide them back to their homes, we can escort them from this world. But unless they go willingly, we cannot make them leave. Why is that? We have a very complicated relationship with this forest. We protect it, we care for it, we make sure that every one of its creatures is looked after. However, the forest is not entirely what it seems. The forest is always hungry. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical sense. Look at what happened to you. Some part of this forest tried to eat you alive. And if it had gotten its way, it would have spat out your bones somewhere they would never be found. And then it would continue to wait for someone else to be let through the barrier. That is what happened to everyone who came before you. That is why no one talks about how dangerous this place is. That is why everyone thinks this place is still a magical fairy tale where they can live in peace and harmony with nature. They don't realize that they are the prey that this forest seeks. They don't realize that the only reason they are still alive is that their world is not nearly as hungry as this one. You're all patched up now. If you really want to thank me, you'll let me lead you back across the barrier. Of course, I'll help you find your way back. I'm a healer. My job is to keep people alive. I just saved you, and I'd rather not see you end up as just another cautionary tale. So please, if you really, really want to show your gratitude, let me keep you alive. Please.